Hey, what's up, guys? It's Will back for some fight predictions here. We're here for UFC 304 from Manchester, England, as we've got some big title fights heading over here to my side of the pond for a pretty decent pay per view. I like the top half of the pay per view. I think it's got a lot of like really decent fights on there that's kind of all right to watch. The lower the card goes down, it's not overly great. So I'm kind of going to quickly run through some of the early ones and then talk about some of the fights I'm a little bit more passionate about at the top end of the card there. Um, I think I've got over all the technical difficulties that I had beforehand. Fingers crossed. Let's get into it here, guys. So, move over to Tapology. Starting off, Shauna Bannon against Alice Adelan. Very low level. Um, I I didn't want to go and looking into this matchup and end up doing it just because Alice is someone that I know of, but I'd really not been kind of that familiar with for the last couple of years since probably the Weili Zhang fight. I remember that looking in the Zhang fight and realizing that name, I was like, all right, okay. So both girls obviously not of UFC quality. Alice is coming in here short notice. Shauna Bannon's second fight in the UFC. I was very skeptical why the UFC signed Shauna Bannon last year. I thought she was so green, although a lifelong martial artist. I just thought she's not UFC caliber. I still don't think that. Doesn't hit very hard. I don't think she's pretty technical, but she's been away a year. I'm sure she is a far better fighter than she was a year ago. You've got Elise coming in here who was replacing Ravina Oliveira, I think it was, and yeah, there's not a hell of a lot to like. Her record's not overly great. Um, she is scrappy. She comes there. She will throw some punches. She will go after people, but there's not really a hell of a lot there to like. But I've had people message me saying that Shauna Bannon is like that people are thinking of throwing the hard earned money in this fight, and I'm just like, especially as a favourite, the line is coming down quite sharp, and I kind of agree with that. As a pick, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna take the girl coming in here in a couple of weeks short notice who she might come out very strong initially, could potentially get some takedowns, bang away, hit hard. I think the more technical striker is obviously Bannon being the kind of more the Taekwondo style that she's had all of her life. But she doesn't hit very hard. I don't think she's very kind of fearsome. I don't think there's a hell of a lot to really push back, at least if she wanted to really come forward. So I'm gonna take Elise to win in her debut. It might be very scrappy. I don't even know if I'm going to end up watching this fight because these fights start so late now. I was supposed to be going to this card, got a lot of friends that are down at this card, but when some of the problems that I've been having, and then um, just like I don't know how these people are going to be watching fights. I know people still watch fights at 6 o'clock. I don't do it anymore. I used to watch every card into the wee hours. Now I can't do that. Being in the arena doing that, I did that before. Rough times. Kind of getting away from it here. I'm going to take Ardelin as the pick, but not overly caring too much about it. Mick Parkin against Lucas Brzeski. I'll take Mick Parkin. I think he is of a higher level of what Lucas Brzeski is. You look at the people that Mick Parkin's beat. I think that your Mo Usman's, your is Brzeski any better than your Mo Usman's, your Jamal Pogues? I don't think it. I don't think he really is. I think that he's training with a good amount of people here in the UK, surrounding himself with Tom Aspinall, Phil De Vries, around good, solid heavyweights, guys who've got belts on their waists. Bresky might be dangerous initially, but I think Mick can keep him at a long jab, hit him with some shots. If I'm Mick in this fight, I'm trying to get a finish. Bresky is tough. He has been finished in the UFC, but for me, Mick Parkin's the side, and I'm pretty comfortable. I think he's not a bad parlay piece, but heavyweights are heavyweights. You never know what could happen with that, but I will pick him to win there. Sam Patterson against Kiefer Crosby. I do like some things with Sam Patterson. I don't like the betting line in this fight, just for the simple fact that this guy, his head's in the area, he's very hittable. I don't think he can take shots that well, but I like his submission game. I like his overall game. That was a really good win that he had. over in Canada earlier on this year, especially coming off that vicious knockout to Ashmos. Who was it against again? Johan Linnes, who is a big hitter himself, but he got hit and then got down there and got the submission. Kiefer Crosby to me is not another guy that I just don't think the UFC should ever really signed, in my opinion. Will fight hard, comes out, throws bombs, will kind of go after your chin. I think that's what he's going to need to do here, and I think he's probably got a round to do it. I think Patterson is very, very, very good on the ground, and I just think if he gets off and gets this fight to the ground and gets to a dominant position, he's going to sub him. So I'm going to go a submission victory at some point in this fight for Sam Patterson. I think it's a pretty, I don't want to say a layup, but it's a good fight for him. This fight has been falling further and further down the card in the last week. You've got Muhammad Mokaev against Manel Kape. I like Manel Kape here, actually. I think he's going to hand Muhammad Mokaev his first UFC L here. I think that his first L probably as a fighter, because Muhammad's not really lost all that many fights over the years, or many scraps at all. Actually, he's very, very kind of confident fighter. I don't think he's progressed as much. You kind of see what you're going to get with Muhammad Mokaev. He's not making as many adjustments as I thought he was going to make. I thought he was going to just to be into a more of a well-rounded fighter, and it's really not shown. This is his last fight in his contract, and could the UFC not sign this guy, especially if he beats Manel Kape? He could be in line for a title shot. But the guy's dogged, a wrestler, comes forward, doesn't stop, will not stop if he doesn't get that initial takedown. There is some things in the Manel Kape side that you don't like to see, like getting taken down by David Dvorak, being put on his back, being there for spells in his fight. Now, if Manel makes weight comfortably here, and from what I watched today, he looks like he's in a good spot. I think that athleticism and the dynamism that he's got in the feet could really pose a problem for Muhammad Mokaev, because I don't think Muhammad's going to come out here and strike at all. I think he's going to be going at knees, going at feet, going whatever he can get a hold of, looking to take a hold of that, get the back, be dominant on the ground. I think he will have spots where he will get the fight to the ground and will be a wee bit dominant. But for me, I just think Manel Kape, if he's coming in here, he's ready, he's fit, makes weight well, I think he's a really decent underdog to pick. And I just feel that at some point he's going to clip Muhammad Mokaev. And I've been a fan of Mokaev for years. I've been telling people about this kid for years. But this just might be the loss that he takes that might actually kind of evolve his game a little bit. You realise he can't go all the way to a title without having some striking, some definitive thing that he can hurt people on the floor, on the mats. So with his striking, because on the mats, like I say, he is dogged. He's got a lot of heart. Been in some tricky spots, came through, but the guy goes and goes and goes for 15 minutes, even though he slows down a little bit. He still comes at you. I think that this is a big fight for him. Could put himself right in line for a title shot. I just think Manel Kape's going to catch him with something and hurt him and knock him out. So Manel Kape for me is going to be the pick. Moving on, who we got? Sorry guys, this laptop is not in the best of places today. Oban Elliott against Preston Parsons. This is one I've been kind of going back and forward, and I feel I want to be super confident in Preston Parsons. And when I watch, because I know all about Oban Elliott through his Cage Warriors days and so on and so on, but I've had some thoughts. I thought, right, why is this line a little bit closer? Because for me, when I watch Parsons, he looks a guy that's just at kind of the higher level. I love his entries into takedowns. I don't think he's super dominant there with his grappling. I don't think he can keep people there for large parts, but his entries into takedowns are well timed. Usually gets the guys down. He is very good with doing stuff like that. And overall, I just think he's a better fighter. Now, he's still like minus 135. I think you can get him here in the UK. And I am really tempted to bet him. I'm just like, am I maybe counting out Oban Elliott to maybe fight hard over like a 15-minute period. Could he tire out like a Preston Parsons? It could become a possibility that is, because I don't think he's super dangerous. I think he's an okay, well-rounded pro who, like I say, that's a big win, having your UFC debut over in America. But I thought it was a well-matched fight for him, and it's good to get a UFC victory, but that's not the greatest win. Val Woodman, I don't think it's with the UFC anymore, where this is a legitimate win. Matt Semmelsberger, Evan Elder, these are good wins. So for me, I think that Preston comes out very, very quick. I can see him winning that first round. Then I can see Oban coming in and maybe throwing more, landing more. Like I say, I really want to bet this guy. And I feel like that he could, hindsight, win this 30-27. But there's something that's kind of keeping me back. But I'm going to go with my initial picks when I was watching some of these fights here. And Preston Parsons is going to be my pick in that one there. Modestas Bukauskas against Marcin Prachnio. Not looked into this one. Not really wanting to look into it too much. I see that there's -160 line on Modestas Bukauskas. So not really got much to kind of say about this fight, because like I said, I've really not looked into it a hell of a lot. I will go with Modestas Bukauskas, but like I say, guys, that's just a straight pick there where I think that Prachnio, I mean, he can be a bit of a spoiler. And sometimes he's came through in these spots where he's been an underdog, and like I say, the one that always, it's the Khalil Roundtree one here, where everybody and their mother was against him, and he came out there and won that fight. And then, like I say, he's registered another couple of wins. This was a horrible fight. And then he's got a win over Devin Clark there. So if this becomes, I think the more dangerous fighter is Modestas Bukauskas. I think that he's got a little bit more, maybe more weapons in his arsenal than what Marcin Prachnio has. But yeah, for me, like I said, I'm not looking at that a hell of a lot. I won't be having. I probably won't even watch that, if I'm being honest with you, on the Saturday morning or the Sunday morning whenever I watch it. It's not one that, unless something happens, I'll probably not be going to that fight there. This is one that I really like, though. Short notice fight that was put together after Ramon Tavares pulled out last week. Kaelan Loughran welcomes Jake Hadley to the UFC bantamweight division. And I think this is a good move for Jake Hadley at this time in his career. He's obviously lost a couple of fights. Cody Durden, Charles Johnson. Not bad losses in the flyweight division. Come in here in probably about 10 days notice, week to 10 days notice. And yeah, it's interesting because you've kind of got the different styles here of, once Jake Hadley really gets that confidence going with his hands, he can really start to land some sharp shots, got some decent chokes, doesn't have the greatest takedown defense, can be dominated with grappling and wrestling a little bit, and people have seen that with Durden and so on. And Kaelan Loughran has shown that come forward style, eating shots, ready to come forward and looking to like just keep the fight going. And like I said, the win over Pacheco, good way to get into the win column in the UFC after that L to Taylor Lapilus, which was a massive. That fight got turned around a couple of times on fight week, and then, like I say, Pacheco showed his toughness in that fight because Loughran in the first couple of rounds landed some shots, kind of tired himself out a little bit. And I thought he was going to grapple a little bit more in that fight, but he showed off his hands. Like I say, he is there to be hit. There's no head movement. He's got that block head. The body is just just there to be hit. But he's a hard guy to really land super clean shots on. For me, I think Loughran's grappling is going to come forward in the kind of mid part of this fight when Jake's a little bit tired. Now, Jake could land a submission. That's what I think might be his best way to a victory. I don't see a 15-minute decision. I don't see him knocking out Loughran. So I think for me, he needs to go for a submission if he gets the opportunity. For me, Kaelan Loughran's the pick here, and I think he wins via decision in that one there. Molly McCann against Bruna Brazil. I think this is a good fight for Molly McCann. I'm looking at the under 2.5. I think she's got an opportunity here maybe to get herself a finish. She looks in great shape. She looks like she's been saying that she's been like dialed in for this one here. Her and Paddy both look in great shape, to be honest with you. like I say, Molly, since she moved down, I think who was the last one she beat? Was it Bell Pizza? She had the rematch with Bell Pizza. And that was her last fight, like 5 months ago, there where she got the submission, and it was a beautiful submission, like nasty one as well. I think that's where she could have a definitive advantage here because Bruna Brazil will stay long. She will be on the outside, and she will look to kind of land the longer strikes here. And I think she might have a little bit of success initially, but I think Molly will barrel in and somehow get a takedown, because I think if she was to go skill for skill on the feet, I think Bruna is the kind of better, more technical striker, where Molly might have a little bit more power, a little bit more diversity with just some of the spins that she could throw. But I think where she has an advantage is with her grappling. Is this something that's going to be some like Molly going forward? Because when she first came into the UFC, she really wasn't known as a grappler. She was known as a kind of bit of a brawler, would come forward, and that really didn't work out in her UFC debut. It showed that she didn't really have much of a ground game, and then she's kind of started to show it with some takedowns throughout her career, and then last time getting a submission victory. Yeah, I'm going to pick Molly McCann. And I'm going to be looking at the under 2.5 in that one. I think that's an opportunity of a finish there. So Nathaniel Wood against Daniel Pineda. I think that if Nathaniel Wood doesn't get caught with something big initially in the first 5 minutes, and gets maybe drawn into a brawl, which has happened with Nathaniel Wood a little bit. He has been brought into brawls where he's got caught with some big shots, wobbled a little bit, stuck around. That's, in my opinion, Daniel Pineda's best chance to victory, because he's a guy that will come forward and will go balls to the wall for the first 5 minutes. After that, he can fade out a little bit, and he will be like a bit of a punch bag as the fight goes on. And someone like Wood, who's very kind of well diverse, he will chop you with leg kicks, good long jab, follow up with a combination shot, will attack the body, and has overall got a good submission game if he gets the fight to the ground there. I think this is a good fight. I've been watching some of his interviews, and he's had some trouble with his daughter, and he's like super motivated, like when he has those tough days, that his daughters bring him through stuff. So like I say, and he's coming off that loss over Naimov, which was a dirty fight from Naimov. I thought he was very close to winning that fight personally. If some of the shenanigans in Naimov never took place, I thought it was a pretty close fight. But for me, I'm going to pick Nathaniel Wood. I think he can possibly get a late submission in rounds 2 or 3. So I might be having a look at those numbers as well, maybe having a little play on those. But Nathaniel Wood will be my pick for that there. Arnold Allen against Giga Chikadze is the opening fight in the main card. I like Arnold Allen in this one. I think that he's catching Giga at a fairly decent time. Giga is kind of coming back after some injuries. He's not been the most active in the last couple of years. I think that his defensive kind of situations it's left him a little bit kind of vulnerable. Like I say, he's only fought 3 times in 3 years, so once a year. Like I say, and he is coming off that win over Alex Caceres, where I thought he did look fairly decent with his striking. But to me, that this is a step up into a guy that is around about that top 5. I think where Giga is in around that 10 to 15 area, I just don't see him making that jump into there. And I think this is a consolidation fight for someone like Arnold Allen, back on a win streak after his 2 losses to Max Holloway and to Movsar Evloev, where I thought he gave Evloev a good fight. And was hurting Evloev kind of the longer that fight was going on. But Evloev's a little terrier, man. He just doesn't stop. I've been interested to see like a main event with like a 5-round main event with those two. So I thought that would be a good main event, because Arnold was bringing it later on in that fight. For me, I just think that Arnold he's got enough striking here to really not get caught with something. I'd be very surprised if Giga caught him with something. I think that Arnold's got enough defensive warehouse to kind of stay out the way and not get hit with something. And to me, I just think he outworks and outlands someone like Giga and could potentially get takedowns. And watching a little bit of what Beneil Dariush has been saying, he's saying that Giga has made massive strides with his ground game, his grappling. I just still don't think it's enough to really compare on the level of Arnold Allen if Arnold Allen wants to do it. But if it becomes a striking battle, this guy is or was a world-class kickboxer and still is. But this is a big consolidation fight here. Arnie Allen needs to win this one. I think he does that. I've got him parlayed up. I got him minus 250. That's kind of where he's sticking around about the now. I've got him parlayed up with something later on in the card. Middleweight division with Christian Leroy Duncan, Gregory Rodriguez. I'm a fan of Christian Leroy Duncan. I have been for years. I've been championing him when he was in Cage Warrior, saying that I think this guy's going to be a good, solid UFC fighter. I think he could reach the rankings at the very least. And showing some things that I like, coming off 2 good wins over Dennis Tulin and Claudio Ribeiro. This is one I'm a little bit interested in because I think he had Robert Brzeski, and I think that was a really good fight for him to come out here and get another stoppage. And then he's got Robocop jumping in here on. I think he already had a fight, but he's jumping in here a couple of weeks, 2-3 weeks, and there is a lot to like. I think with Robocop, but he's got a lot of like defensive holes that I think that someone like Christian Leroy Duncan can take advantage of. But when I look at him skill for skill, I think there's more winning capability on the Gregory Rodriguez side. I think he can win a decision. I think he can win by submission. Via TKO, I don't see it. I just think the stance and the length that Christian Leroy Duncan has, I just don't see him losing a kind of striking affair. And then you're kind of relying on Rodriguez to come out, kind of use a grappling game. If I knew he was doing that, I would be more and more comfortable with the pick. But he doesn't really do that all that much. Now, he has power, he has knockout power, but I just think that he might be a little bit too static for someone like Christian Leroy Duncan. But like I say, I've been going back and forward in this one more than any other fight this week, actually, because I kind of feel in my heart that Christian's going to catch him with something, but the kind of head's telling me that Robocop's got more path to victory. This, I think, is a bigger step up for Christian from what he faced from his previous 2. Obviously, had that loss to Petrosian. This to me is a big jump up to what he's faced previously, especially a UFC vet wins there. Brad Tavares is a great win. Tulin, it's a opponent they faced. He just got a little bit too aggressive in this fight here and got caught. I see this as a 50-50 fight, so I'm going to go with the Robocop side here. And it kind of hurts my heart a little bit going against Christian Leroy Duncan. But I just think that Gregory Rodriguez might work him a little bit here and get the win, but I'm not confident. I want Christian Leroy Duncan to win. Would it surprise me if he split the guard, knocked him out with a clean shot, a head kick, a teep kick, something? Nope. I'm going to pick Robocop, but like I say, not super confident in that one. In my opinion, it's just I'm trying not to let my being a fan of Christian Leroy Duncan kind of overstep the mark there. So, Bobby Green against Paddy Pimblett. Interesting fight here because I think there's things to like on the Pimblett side. I think there is more things to like on the Bobby Green side. This, again, another step up for Paddy Pimblett from what he has faced in his UFC tenure. And like I say, there's some stuff come out today regarding depression, mental health and stuff like that. And I really hope that he's okay because some of that stuff is really serious. I know that I've kind of been dealing with some stuff regarding that. And it's tough. It's not easy, especially he's just became a dad. And the guy fights for a living. So that's a lot to take on. And there's a lot of pressure fight to fight going in the UFC because he talks a big game. But now he's got a really tough, legitimate vet of the sport. I know he's come off a win over Tony Ferguson, where he came out there. And I just think he exhausted himself to the point where he couldn't finish that guy. So, and like I say, in the third round, he was blown a little bit. He was taking some shots. I think he starts off okay, but I think he might fall to the same kind of thing in the Ferguson fight where he maybe lands a couple of shots, gets too confident, wants to try and chin someone like Bobby. And Bobby can be hurt with his on the chin if you catch him with the right shot. You can absolutely hurt him. But like I said, this is a guy with 15 losses, so he's been around a long time. He has been chinned a couple of times. Paddy will come forward and swing and look to go after him. I think if he was to somehow get Bobby to the ground and try and get that back, I think there's a high chance he can get a submission. But for me, the gut's telling me Bobby Green. I just feel like he's going to maybe miss a little bit of a storm in that first round. Maybe take an L in that first round, but then come through in rounds 2 and 3. I just see him doing more. And I think if he starts to get his confidence up and he starts to land shots and he starts jawing at Paddy, I think that he can. I just think he's a very dangerous fighter once he gets everything going. And like I say, he is coming into enemy territory. He could get caught with the judges maybe favouring a hometown decision because Paddy's going to have a ton of fans there. We're close to Liverpool. For me, I see Bobby Green taking a 3-round decision. But he has been knocked out before. Paddy could catch him with something, could get the back. I would like Paddy to win. I'm actually a big fan of Paddy Pimblett, have been. But like I say, trying not to be biased because over the years, I've been, you only pick the UK fighters and you do this and you do that. And it's like, it's never been that way. I'm just going what I think, how these fights, I kind of break them down a little bit myself and I kind of go on the side. But I'm going to go Bobby Green via decision in that one there. Moving on. Co-main event. Tom Aspinall against Curtis Razor Blades. A rematch of a few years ago where an unfortunate injury took place and Tom lost that fight. But really, since then, he's looked great since he came back. I was on the Curtis Blades side that night. I bet Curtis Blades because I've as much as I like Tom Aspinall, really good dude, good fighter. I've still got some things that I'm not sure about. If we see him get pushed a little bit, if he doesn't land the kill shot in round 1, what is he going to be like in round 2, round 3? I think he is someone you can absolutely get at. And I think if Blades comes out here and just doesn't get dinged and pinged with something and keeps himself in the fight, maybe loses that first round, maybe try not to take something heavy, maybe not even throw all that much, throw a couple of feints out there, a couple of attempted takedowns if you can, just put it in the head of Tom, because Tom's going to be light on his feet, he's going to be bouncy on his feet and look to land shots. And like he's another one that I don't think his defense is all that great. He's always had a kind of tall stance. You can get him if you're a striker. Blades isn't really known for his striking. He's coming off that win over Jailton Almeida where getting dominated, but then threw some of those hammer fists and beat Jailton in that second round. And like I say, I kind of got away with one last time. I won some money on Curtis Blades, which I probably really shouldn't have got. But injuries happen, and that happens sometimes here. But like minus 400, I think that is high on the Aspinall side. And saying that he could come out, throw a combination and knock Curtis Blades out in the first 20 seconds, that's always viable with someone like Tom Aspinall. We've seen that the guy's got big power, can knock out guys. We've seen that with the Pavlovich fight. Took a shot from Pavlovich, but then when he landed, lights out. That can happen. I think he can do that to any heavyweight in the UFC, and he's did that to a lot of heavyweights in the UFC. But I really want to take a shot on Curtis Blades because I feel like, well, you bet him before, you have all these reasons, the reasons really haven't changed. Do you want to see what Aspinall's like in round 2? What is he like if he gets grappled? What if he gets put in his back? And we've seen him, he's got some jiu-jitsu. I've known that for years. The Stuart Austin fight, he showed bits of that. That was years and years and years ago. But I just feel like I say, it's the better inside of me that maybe wants to take the pick and the bet on Curtis Blades. But really, I think the smart pick in this. The predictions, I think Tom Aspinall probably wins. But like I say, I kind of feel I want to bet that plus 300 on Curtis Blades. But if I'm picking against him, I really shouldn't be throwing money down on him. But I'm going to go Tom Aspinall, even though, like I say, I've just got this feeling that Blades could give him some problems if he doesn't get chinned and get decked and get hurt with something initially. But I kind of feel I need to be on the Aspinall side in this one here. So probably a knockout in the first round for Tom Aspinall there. Leon Edwards against Bilal Muhammad is the main event here. Really good fight. Not the biggest fan of Bilal Muhammad, but I do think he deserves this title shot, and he has been asking for it and working hard for it for the last couple of years. We see he's run here in the last 3 years: Damian Maia, Stephen Thompson, Vicente Luque, Sean Brady, Gilbert Burns. Good solid wins against guys that were all in the top 10 there. And then you've got the run of Leon Edwards, where won that fight clearly against Diaz, but got hurt with a shot in that fifth round, which wobbled him. Not the greatest look. Then was clearly losing that fight against Kamaru Usman before landing just a massive moment there. And then coming into the rematch, there was talks of injuries on the Usman side, but I thought that Leon looked great in that fight. His cage work was great, avoided kind of getting taken down not that much, and in control with the grappling. And the Colby Covington one there, I'm just glad that he beat Colby's ass in that one. But like I say, he kind of rode out to a easy victory in that fight, where he kind of, I don't want to say he gassed a little bit, but he just maybe took his foot off the pedal a little bit. This is obviously a rematch of a couple of years ago, probably 2020, where Leon was coming back after a long break. They were trying to put fights with him and Khamzat and all that, and I think this came together quite quick, where Bilal jumped in on short notice. And like I say, he has made some massive, massive strides, and this is a place where he's an underdog, where he's cashed many, many, many times before, and I know a lot of people are already on him. For me, I've parlayed Leon Edwards. I think he wins this fight with his striking. I think that he's going to push Bilal Muhammad back. I think that the southpaw stance with those big whipping high kicks, we've seen Bilal kind of dip into them a little bit, been caught with some of them on the forearms and so on. And I just think if this stays standing for prolonged periods, I think the guy that will be landing more will be someone like a Leon Edwards, where Bilal will need to try and mix it up to get into to takedown range. Do I see him getting numerous takedowns on Leon? I don't see it. But like I say, I can just see this kind of type of fight where I can see Leon winning maybe like 3 clean rounds, maybe 4 clean rounds. But some of these like rounds could potentially be very close, where Bilal might have a look in. But for me, I just think that he's going to win the rounds a little bit more clearer, land more, have the more eye-catching shots, have the better parts of the fight. And that's just my opinion in that. So I parlayed Leon Edwards up with Arnold Allen. I got in at Leon when he was minus 200, where Allen was minus 250. So round about plus 110, I think it'll probably be, if I remember right. I don't see him finishing Bilal. I've had a couple of really short people that I speak to that they think that he's going to finish Bilal. I'm kind of more on the decision side. But Leon Edwards is going to be my pick, guys. So got through that. Appreciate you. I can see Dixon in the chat there. I can see Danny P, UFC. Like I say, hope you're well. I appreciate some of you guys if you've stuck around with me for these last half an hour. But yeah, until next time, guys, all the very, very best. I think we've got a good card next week, actually. Is it in Abu Dhabi? That's a good card. I'll have a good predictions out for that one there. But until then, all the very best, guys. Take care, and I will see you soon.